Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Canet, and today I'm back with another episode of tips and tricks sent in by subscribers. And if you've sent me something in the last little while, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little behind on them. So it could be several weeks before you see your name and lights on Woodwork Web. So anyway, let's get started with today's episode. This next tip is from Mark, and Mark suggests if you've got an old chisel or even one of your current chisels, old chisels are easy to find at used stores and garage sales. What he suggests is make a slight angle at the bottom of the chisel and take that and sharpen that, and you'll have a chisel with a bit of an angle on it. Now, why that is such a good idea is this. For example, when you're digging into dados and you're wanting to cut the dado, if you can shear the wood, you will get a better cut. Sometimes when you're pushing wood like this, the wood will catch and it'll run out on you. It'll catch and you'll get a long strip that sort of breaks away. And this will help avoid that. Now, the reason that this is such a great idea is this. When you were a youngster and you wanted a jackknife, somebody gave you a jackknife. They said, make sure you don't cut yourself. But you did. We all did. That was part of growing up. But with that jackknife, you learned very quickly that pushing the wood straight was hard. But when you cut the wood at a little bit of an angle, you got a much better and a much quicker cut because it was more efficient when you had the blade at a bit of an angle. Now, that goes even further than jackknives and chisels because the bit manufacturer Freud, when they manufacture bits, they put a little bit of a shear angle on many of their bits so that it actually cuts the wood instead of just sort of banging into it as a straight cut. So it's well known in the wood industry that a slight angle is a much better cutting tool. So that's a really good tip, Mark. I'm going to clean this up. And I would have done this except somebody in their wisdom has sharpened the back of a chisel and they've kind of ruined it. So I have to go back and flatten everything and sort of restart over again. But when I get some time, I'm going to do that and make an angled chisel like that. So thanks, Mark. This tip was sent in by Harry, and Harry suggests if you've got some hooks like this lying around, you can use these for paint stirrers. And the way it works, you just put it in your drill, put it on a low speed like that, and now you've got an instant mixer. But look, this one's a little bit short. You can get these things much longer, but you could even, if you wanted, you could even put it into a dowel, and now you've got an even longer stretch. So if you've got, bigger cans of something, you could now do that. But most of the cans that I have are pretty small, and it would easily help stir up either one of these. And I even put stuff in jars, and I would use this in a jar, but I would use it much slower, and it will help to move that material around there. So that's a great tip. Thanks, Harry. Here's another tip from Mama C. She suggests go out and buy a new toilet brush for cleaning the inside of your table saw. And I wish I'd have known that 2 or 3 months ago. I had a real problem with the worm gears in my table saw, and I couldn't get in there to clean them. I ended up using a bottle brush, and I realized I need to start doing more maintenance on the inside of my table saw because it was really pretty bad. So this is a great idea. So I went out and got one for the princely sum of, I think, $3. And look, it even comes with a stand. That's perfect. Thank you, Mama C. Now, this next tip is from Terry in Australia and Susan. Susan's not in Australia. And they both suggest using saran wrap from the dollar store. And I didn't even know that the dollar store sold saran wrap. But what Susan added is that she actually cuts hers on the miter saw. And we're going to do that today. Now, I know there's usually a metal or plastic strip in these, and she didn't say whether she took it apart or, so we're just going to cut it off and try it and see how it works. Well, nothing. It just cut fine. Let's go back and have a look at it. Yeah, well, that worked out just fine. Now, I don't know, neither one of them said whether they actually used the cutter on here, and I kind of think it's probably just going to be as easy to tear it. Anyway, there's my two pieces of wood. Let's just try this. I gotta find a place here. Yeah, I'm struggling with it a bit. There we go. Yeah, that's all right. There we go. Another way of using the same kind of wrap, but probably quite a bit cheaper than doing it the way I've been doing it. This is handy for me, but if you don't use it all that often, there's a really good alternative. So thanks both Terry and Susan. Next couple tips are for dowels, and they're from Joseph. And Joseph said that he uses tape on his dowels. I don't know if it was for grip. He didn't really say, and he didn't say what kind of a pencil sharpener that he used. And I have an electric pencil sharpener that I've had for 25 years, but it doesn't really do dowels very well because they have to be so long. But then I got thinking maybe he's using a little hand pencil sharpener, and I picked one up at the dollar store. Look at that, it's quick and easy. I haven't been doing that, so I'm still learning stuff. And here's the larger one for bigger pencils, and for the 3/8 dowels it's perfect. It works great for that, so thank you for that, Joseph. The other thing he mentioned, if your dowels are a little bit, if they're loose, the other thing you can do is take a pair of pliers or something. You can often just kind of crush them just a little bit, just so you squeeze that wood, and it makes them snug in there again. So that's another good tip. So thanks for those, Joseph. This next tip is from Robert. And Robert says that if you use acetone on two-part epoxy, it will dissolve it and take it off. And I try these things most of the time if I don't know that they work or not. And I did try this one, and you know what? With a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, it actually works. I had that nail epoxied on there, and I used some of this acetone. This acetone, by the way, is about 3/4 full, and it's about 20 years old, so it lasts a long. I don't use it very often. It lasts a long, long time. But I used a rag, and I just kept massaging it, and then the nail just fell off, and I could see that it actually sort of makes it. It weakens it so that it does in fact come off. Now the other thing I use, remember I've told you about these ugly gloves that we use for CA glue. It seems like the acetone, because acetone will melt some plastics. This one, it didn't seem to do that, but you'll want to check that because I was using a rag and I had it bundled up and working it like that, and it actually does work. I don't know if you can tell. If I move it up like this, you can actually see down in here where it's actually gone and taken away the epoxy that was down there as well. So it really does work. And as a sideline to that, it also works with hot melt glue. So acetone is a pretty important tool for getting rid of some drops that might fall into a place where you want to get it off or remove something. So acetone for two-part epoxy and for hot melt glue. Well, that concludes my video for today. Lots of good, useful information that we can use. And if you've got something you want to share with us, send it on in to me. And if I haven't already used it in a video, I'll include it in an upcoming video. I'm Colin Cadet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.